This episode of Brutally Human is brought to you by Cope Notes. Use code UNCOVERED at checkout for 10% off any subscription. You ever scroll past a video that says, if you lose your keys, can't focus, interrupt people mid-sentence, and zone out mid-task, you probably have ADHD. And then suddenly you're sitting there thinking, wow, I guess me, my cat, and everyone I know must have it. Look, I'm not here to gatekeep diagnoses, but we've reached a point where having a short attention span in 2025 basically means you qualify for a custom pill bottle and a TikTok support group. The problem isn't that people are talking about mental health. The problem is we've started romanticizing symptoms and confusing shared human struggles with clinical conditions. Yes, ADHD is real. Yes, it's underdiagnosed in adults. But you know what else is real? Sleep deprivation, screen addiction, trauma, and the fact that most of us haven't had a single quiet moment since 2018. So before you self-diagnose because a 15-second video read you to filth, let's take a breath. Let's talk about what ADHD actually is, what it's not, and why the constant digital noise is making all of us feel broken. This is Brutally Human, and this is the dopamine crash you didn't know you needed. Before we get too far in, smash the like button, drop a comment, and subscribe if your attention span survives this episode. If not, no worries. Just play it on a loop while you scroll TikTok. I'm not judging. I can't tell. All right, let's talk about your ADHD. Okay, let's clear something up before someone in the comments calls me albiest and tries to cancel me with a meme and a lowercase paragraph. ADHD is real. It's a neurodevelopmental condition. It affects millions of people across all age groups. It's not just a squirrel's brain or, oops, I forgot my coffee again. But lately, TikTok has turned ADHD into an aesthetic, a vibe, a punchline. And now every other video is some guy saying, if you pace while brushing your teeth, hate loud chewing, and binge Netflix at 2 a.m., you probably have ADHD. No, bro. You just have anxiety, overstimulation, and no boundaries with your phone. Let's break it down. Real ADHD isn't just a distraction. It's executive dysfunction, which means your brain struggles with things like task management, impulse control, and working memory. It's not quirky, it's not just forgetting where you parked, it's crying in your car because you missed a deadline again, and your brain wouldn't let you start it. ADHD isn't just chaos, it's chronic underachievement despite potential. It's shame, it's relationship suffering because you keep zoning out mid-conversation and you don't even realize it. But here's the thing. In a world where our attention is being hijacked 24/7, where we live on apps specifically designed to short-circuit our brain, it's no wonder why so many of us feel like we have ADHD symptoms. You don't need a diagnosis to say, hey, my brain feels fried, or I struggle to focus. That's valid. But there's a huge difference between relating to symptoms and living with a condition. And when we self-diagnose off a trending soundbite, we risk minimizing the very real challenges people with ADHD face every single day. So before we slap a label on our forehead and start ordering customized meds from a discount telehealth site, let's do something radical. Get curious, not reactive. Because maybe the problem isn't that you're broken. Maybe it's that your nervous system wasn't built for 5 hours of vertical scrolling in digital chaos. Let me put this to you as gently as I can. Your brain is fried. And it's not because you're lazy, broken, or undiagnosed. It's because we all have become dopamine junkies. Seriously, our brains are mainlining instant gratification like it's an Olympic sport. TikTok, dopamine. Scroll, laugh, swipe, new video. Instagram, dopamine. Like, comment, double tap that emotional wound. Streaming shows with 8-second intros, dopamine. We literally get mad when Netflix makes us wait longer than 12 seconds for the next episode. We're not built for this. Your brain is a delicate ecosystem, not a casino slot machine. And the more we flood it with cheap dopamine hits, the harder it becomes to focus, regulate, or sit still without needing constant stimulation. So now, we can't read an article without switching tabs 6 times. We listen to podcasts at 2 times speed because I just don't have the time. But we'll watch an 18-part TikTok series on someone's ex who faked their death for clout. You don't have ADHD, babe. You're overstimulated, under-rested, under-fueled, and addicted to digital junk food. And listen, I'm not judging. I'm the same. I've literally had moments where I'm watching a show, scrolling my phone, checking texts, and somehow still wondering why I feel like I haven't accomplished anything. That's not ADHD. That's dopamine dysregulation. Your reward system is so overloaded, normal tasks feel boring. Like laundry feels like a punishment, emails feel like a full-time job, and trying to meditate? Might as well ask your brain to go fight God. The worst part? The cycles create fake symptoms that look a lot like ADHD. Low motivation, restlessness, mental fog, impulse shopping, forgetting basic tasks, emotional dysregulation. And then the algorithm sees your struggle and goes, ah, yes, another customer for our "do I think I have ADHD" TikTok rabbit hole. And boom, you're hooked. But the truth is this: you don't need a label to justify feeling off. You need to rest. You need boundaries. You need less input and more stillness, no matter how boring that sounds. Because the most rebellious thing you can do in a world addicted to noise is learn how to be still. Let's talk about the part of self-diagnosis culture that nobody wants to say out loud. It pisses people off. Like, not just a noise, not just, that's a little cringe, but legitimately infuriates people who actually live with the disorder you're casually claiming because you relate to a symptom carousel on TikTok. And since we're being brutally honest, my personal favorite is the "I think I have schizophrenia" girlies. Because they disassociate once in traffic or heard one weird noise when they were half asleep, and suddenly they're out here like, "I'm just so neurodivergent and quirky." No, Brittany, you're overtired, dehydrated, probably need to get off your phone for an hour. Schizophrenia isn't an aesthetic. It's not a vibe. It is not something you want to try on like a Halloween costume until you meet someone who actually lives with it. You think hallucinations are cool until they're so real you can't tell who's talking and who's not. You think delusions are fascinating until they make you question your own existence for days at a time. You want the identity until it comes with the hospital wristbands, until it comes with the stigma, until it comes with the people ghosting you after you're honest with them, until it comes with being treated like you're dangerous when you're just trying to survive. Self-diagnosis isn't just a bad habit. It's become a game of performative suffering. And when people start collecting diagnoses like Pokemon cards, it cheapens the experience for those of us who are actually living in the middle of a storm we never asked for. Look, I get it. Mental health is confusing. It's overwhelming. And yeah, sometimes you do relate to something you hear in a video or a post. But here's the line. Relating to pain doesn't mean you own it. Feeling symptoms doesn't mean you have a disorder. And claiming you have a diagnosis you haven't earned because it makes you feel seen is like stealing someone's wheelchair because your legs are too tired. You're allowed to not be okay, but you are not entitled to someone else's diagnosis. If you truly think something's off, go see a licensed professional. Go get evaluated. Go talk to someone whose job isn't to make content, but to actually help you. Because mental illness is not an accessory. And for some of us, it's the fight of our lives. Okay, so you've been overwhelmed, scattered, mentally fogged. You relate to 9 out of 10 symptoms you saw in a reel that started with POV. You're neurodivergent and exhausted. And now you're wondering, Do I actually need help? Or is this just life now? But here's the truth. If you're asking that question seriously, it's worth talking to someone. Because it's not about earning a diagnosis. It's not about slapping a label on yourself for clarity or clout. It's about understanding your brain and getting the tools you need to actually function better in your own life. If your focus issues are getting in the way of your job, your relationship, your confidence, or your ability to take care of yourself, you deserve help. If you're constantly emotionally dysregulated, chronically anxious, forgetful to the point of danger, or spiraling with zero clue why, you deserve help and support. And no, therapy is not some last resort after everything else fails. You don't have to hit rock bottom to get help. You don't have to prove you're suffering. You just have to care enough about yourself to want better. And listen, I get it. Seeing a mental health professional can be intimidating. It's vulnerable, it's uncomfortable, but it's also the most powerful thing you can do when you feel lost in your own head. Because real healing doesn't come from a trending audio. It comes from being honest with yourself and then being brave enough to ask for help that isn't curated by an algorithm. So if you've been wondering if it's time to talk to someone, it probably is. And no, you don't need a life-threatening crisis to justify it. You just need a little honesty, a little courage, and a whole lot of grace for the human experience you're living. If today's episode hit a nerve, good. That means you were paying attention. Listen, I'm not here to police what people relate to. I'm here to call out the fact that we've turned mental health into a TikTok trend. And somewhere along the way, we stopped asking real questions and started collecting symptoms like vibes. If you're struggling, that's valid. But let's stop pretending a 30-second video is the same thing as a diagnosis. Let's stop glamorizing disorders that people fight tooth and nail just to survive. And let's start normalizing something way more powerful than self-diagnosis. Actually getting help. You're not weak. You're not dramatic. And no, your brain isn't broken. It's just begging you to slow down, to log off, and pay attention to what's really going on. If this hit home and you're looking for real support and you're not ready to see a therapist, Cope Notes sends daily mental health texts written by people who get it, real people. No BS, no toxic positivity, just a little light in your inbox every day. And if that interests you, you can use code UNCOVERED at checkout for 10% off your subscription. Now, next week, we're diving into one of the most brutally real things we don't talk about enough. This generation is not okay, and here's why we don't talk about it. We're going to unpack collective trauma, grief fatigue, generational numbness, and why we've all become a little too good at pretending we're fine when we're anything but. Until then, do you, but do it with love and affection. I'm Kyle Fields. I'll see you next week.